prosecutor Jeremy Saland. Thank you so much for being here, Jeremy. We really appreciate it.
Morning.
So, Jeremy, can you kind of walk us through this? We thought that this was going to go away, essentially. There was this plea deal. It collapsed at the last minute after a judge started asking some questions. Now we're here. Can you sort of take us through what you think happened and what happens next?
So what happened is sort of obvious. Everyone's heard what happened. The judge already put the term kibosh on this case and said this was not going to go forward as is, and this deal fell apart. Ultimately, that forced the Department of Justice and here Special Counsel Weiss to move forward and secure an indictment. And this indictment revolves around, as we've heard, basically the filling out of paperwork falsely where there was a drug addiction or drug use, then securing a firearm and then possessing that firearm. Going forward, this should move like any other case. We've sort of all tracked what's going on with Trump and the other defendants and in other matters. But basically, he'll have an appearance in court eventually. He'll be arraigned, and then the case will move forward with motion practice and ultimately a disposition or a trial one way or another.
So Hunter Biden's attorney was on Aaron Burnett last night, Abby Lowell. He talked about the charges. Let's take a listen to what he had to say, and then I'll ask you about it. Watch.
This charge brought today violates the agreement the government made with Hunter Biden. That was a standalone agreement different than this plea. And second, the constitutionality of these charges are very much in doubt. And Hunter owned an unloaded gun for 11 days. There will never have been a charge like this brought in the United States.
So this is one of the best-known defense lawyers in Washington. What do you make of what he had to say there?
I think there's some credibility to what he says, and there's some of it what he's saying as a defense attorney. And in no particular order, there has been questions about the constitutionality of this charge, and basically involving your past drug use or drug history or an addiction and limiting your Second Amendment right. So there has been this out of the Fifth Circuit, which does not cover the state of Delaware, but it has been challenged on an appellate level. Number one. Number two, I think it's safe to say, despite what some people might want to see happen against the Bidens, from an objective standard, you do not see this charge as it really is a standalone charge for somebody who has filled out paperwork saying that they don't have a drug addiction or are not using drugs, but in fact are when they possess a firearm. And I think what's critical here, as states start to say marijuana recreational use is okay, like the state of Missouri, if it's okay there in the state of Missouri, but if you possess that firearm and are you using marijuana, well, then you're in violation of this law. And I can't imagine, a senator like Josh Hawley is going to say, my constituents should be prosecuted for legally, using marijuana, not at the given time, and then possessing a firearm or saying on a piece of paper, I don't use drugs. It's a little bit extreme if it's not associated with the shooting or a big drug dealer or some sort of kingpin. So it's safe to say that. Last but not least, the point that he made about whether or not the agreement still stands, I think that's probably the more difficult argument for him, because it's not on an island. It's part of the bigger picture, part of the bigger case. But there's some valid concerns about it. He's innocent until proven guilty. He may have committed a crime technically, but this is really not something you're going to see that often.
So how likely in the end do you think it is that Hunter Biden actually does time?
I still think whether or not his counsel is successful in his argument, sure, you could get up to 10 years. You could get up to 5 years, depending on the particular charge. But I would tend to think that this gets resolved in little to no jail time, because, again, this is a standalone island. You don't see it that way as a standalone case. And when you look at the entirety of what he did for possessing that gun for 11 days, this is not the most serious of federal crimes that should send this not young man, he's a little older than me, this man to any man, and forget your age, any woman, any person, to prison for any significant period of time. Just because you can and the law allows doesn't mean you should or will.
All right, Jeremy Saland, thank you very much for getting up early with us, sir. I really appreciate it. I hope you'll come back.
My pleasure.